Hello and welcome to the Flourishing Introvert Talks with me, Jo Rawbone. This is the podcast that celebrates the natural gifts of introverts so that we can flourish in all situations. Episode 269, another trip around the sun. And I couldn't be happier. So I've decided to share some reflections, lessons and intentions in this episode. What you might call hindsight, insight and foresight. As I'm engaging in this process, I encourage you to be thinking along similar lines. You'll be surprised how much you have to be grateful for, even if life feels tough right now. The more of my birthdays I get to celebrate, and that's a lot, the more meaningful each one becomes, and in turn, the more grateful I become. As Jimmy Buffett said, wrinkles will only go where the smiles have been. I cannot and will not subscribe to the popular desire for endless youth and anti-aging. That's because I've lost rather too many special people well before their time. These people shaped my roller coaster of a journey through this thing called life and have enabled me to know in my bones that ageing is a gift denied to many. This is a stark reminder that none of us know how long we have. So this episode is dedicated to some of those who have played a part in shaping who I am now. Some of those people, as you'll hear about later, encouraged me to get on the roller coaster in the first place when I was hanging back, undecided and a little scared. Some gave me the courage to let go of the safety bar when I was holding on too tightly, and that enabled me to have the full experience. And some laughed and cried with me when my emotions became too big to contain, but they never denied me my emotions. Between them, they saw my potential and were generous with their quiet belief in me, especially when self-belief evaded me. So I'm saddened when I hear how many supposed introverts refuse to celebrate their birthdays because they dislike being the centre of attention. Of course, we know they're not talking about natural introversion. They're talking about a lack of confidence or shyness or social anxiety and in some cases a trauma-informed decision. I'm not here to criticise others as I don't know what they've been through, and in most cases there is help available. For myself, I've come to realise that when someone wants to celebrate my existence on this earth, not because of what I've achieved, but because of who I am to them, I welcome that with immense gratitude and a broad smile on my face. And I hope that by the end of this episode, you'll be able to do the same. Oh, and I don't subscribe to this recent level in life craze, like I'm playing a computer game. That's far too musky for my liking. Nope, I've not reached level 67. I am 67 years old and proud of that. My life is not a game where I'm arming myself to beat or decimate others. My life is a precious journey that I'm now undertaking intentionally, and every time I'm about to start another trip around the sun, I pause and reflect. I've been encouraged recently by someone very special to me to ask myself where I have trodden softly and lived fully. Beautiful questions for me to reflect on, and which remind me of a Nelson Mandela mantra. Tread softly, breathe peacefully, laugh hysterically. Such a good mantra. So from here on in this episode, I'm going to reflect on three things. Those who shaped me, when I accepted the gift of self-belief, and the role of purpose. I hope you'll be doing the same as you listen along. So gratitude for the people who've shaped me. Let me start by acknowledging some of those who have shaped who I am and how I show up in life. Of course, I start with my parents, because whilst tough, stiff upper lip, conditional love types, they instilled in me sound values and the importance of doing what lights me up. I still hear my dad's, or Pop as we called him, I still hear his voice now, and his wisdom, level-headedness and kindness guide me gently even today. Then there were those who got me out of the shadows and onto the roller coaster in the workplace. Alex, who saw the potential in me, Hugh, aka Nobby, who was prepared to take the risk and welcome me into his team initially, followed by Fred and then back to Hugh. He said to me at the outset that his role was to help me get further than he ever had, and I've never forgotten that. None of this was easy, as I was the only female engineer in an all-male department. It was the 1980s, but during that time my growth was exponential. Next, and the one who gave me the opportunity to let go of the safety bar on my roller coaster ride was Neil. He appointed me to my first role in learning and development, and after a rocky start, I realised I had found my calling. He certainly helped me to find my voice and use it for good, which is to help others grow. On reflection, I realised what a closing doors moment that was, because if I'd not been selected for that new role, I don't know if I'd ever have found my way into that world. So between them, these men noticed my potential, took a risk when others weren't prepared to, gave me opportunities to develop, and something I'll treasure forever, which was opening the door to my purpose in life. I'm grateful to all of them, and they have shaped who I am now as I follow their lead to this day. I like to take a risk on people who I can see have potential, even if all the traditionalists would rule them out. I love being a bit rebellious like that, so welcome the opportunity to accompany people on their flourishing journey who've been written off by others. But I'm not talking about a free ride, because our efforts and intentions need to be matched in some way. You see, having been shown that door by Neil, what became apparent was that I needed to walk through the door and take every opportunity that presented itself. More than that, I soon discovered that I could make my own opportunities. Let's move on now to explore the gift of self-belief. I said earlier that I'd share when I accepted this gift, which may sound a little strange to you. But the reality is I've realised that this was like pass the parcel. You know, the children's game when a parcel is passed round and another layer of wrapping paper is removed when the music stops. There have been so many times when I've been able to remove another layer of shiny, distracting wrapping that was covering my self-belief. That reminds me of the analogy of the layers of an onion, and my self-belief was deep in the heart, hidden by those layers. What I've noticed, though, is that new layers can appear from somewhere, so I still need to do the unwrapping from time to time. And every time I do, I reveal a deeply rooted, steady and calm self-belief that is unshakable. Someone who was more than happy to help me rip off those unnecessary layers with childlike joy was Kim, who I miss dearly. She would have been 67 last October, but she didn't make it. If ever I need a reminder to continue to show up fully, I just think of her belief in me. Each of the layers that we discarded obscured the truth, the reality of the experiences I've had and my subsequent learning. And every layer that I continue to peel away enables me to take up my quiet but necessary space, so I'm neither overlooked nor undervalued. There's no denying I am here. So after those 2 sections of hindsight and insight, I'm going to complete the 360 view with some foresight about how I'll use the gems revealed. Living life on purpose. My years on this earth have been generous and increasingly precious. Oliver Burkeman calculated that we live on average 4,000 weeks, which, because it's an average, means some of us will have more than 4,000 and some fewer. Kim, Gary, Stuart and Paul, to name but a few who were important to me, had fewer, and I don't want to be complacent or squander the gift of life that I've been given. I'm 3,496 weeks into my 4,000, so I'm choosing to live the remainder on and with purpose. Another dear friend reminded me that purpose isn't about pressure or noise or hustle. In fact, that's often what adds a layer stopping me from having self-belief. To live on and with purpose, I'll continue to choose intention over the meaningless engineered goals and confidence-sapping comparisonitis. I'll operate from alignment and what's important to my mission rather than panic or urgency, because I'm pretty sure that those two create the dis-ease that would erode my weeks and bring my average down. Of course, this means I'll have to quieten my inner critic Gladys, who probably at this very moment has a chart marking off my weeks with a red pen and an impending sense of doom. So gratitude, self-belief and living on purpose summarise my hindsight, insight and foresight. Thank you for accompanying me on my journey at this point and helping me to welcome another trip around the sun with excitement, intention and gentleness. Let me finish by asking you a few reflective questions to guide your process. Who has shaped your path? Who helps you reveal your self-belief? Where are you choosing purpose over panic? I'd love it if you would share your answers in the Introverts Corner Facebook group or in the Introverts Roundtable LinkedIn group, as I'll be asking those questions there once this episode is released. Until then, remember what Abraham Lincoln said. In the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, then please subscribe, rate us and leave a comment, because we know that that helps other people find the podcast. And if other people find us, other introverts can flourish.
You are listening to an Intentional Media Production podcast.